listening to Game On DC, your home for local gaming and esports news in the DMV. Find the show on social media at Game On DC and by using the hashtag GoDC. Without further ado, here are your hosts, John and Joey.
What is up, DMV, and welcome to Game On DC, the show dedicated to you, the gamers and esports fanatics, right here in the East Coast capital of esports. My name is John Fiasco Byram. Of course, I am joined by the one and the only, the king of the courtside, Joey Courtside King McDermott. Joey, happy Monday. What's poppin', buddy?
Dude, it is the life of champions here in the district still. WizDG coming off of their back-to-back championship, the Justice moving on in the playoffs. Life is just good here in esports and DMV.
Oh, we're spoiled. We're spoiled. Like again, I said it last week, I'll say it again. New York City, can't say anything on us right now. Los Angeles, they don't even exist in esports right now. It's like, you can't tell me that they're even relevant because all the champs are right here in the DMV, so I don't even care right now. But Joey, yes, you are absolutely correct. It is the season of champions, it feels like. And of course, we teased it all day today. We are joined today by our guest that we'll be bringing on here in just a few moments before we do a little homework here real quick. So DMV, just real quick, if you're listening to the podcast version of the show, we do have to remind you, the show is live on Twitch Monday nights at 8 p.m. That is where all the fun happens. You can interact with all of our guests on Twitch as well. But again, if you aren't able to join in on twitch.tv/OTN Media, you can catch the podcast version later down the road, usually the very next day. That's available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher, and pretty much anywhere else you can find a podcast RSS feed. Just look up Game On DC, and we are there. Make sure you follow the show on social media. Super simple, at Game On DC on pretty much everything. Shoot us a follow there as well. Give Joey a follow at Courtside King, myself at Fiasco as well. And you'll get all the cool latest DMV esports and gaming news. Like, next week, Joey, we'll touch on it just very briefly here real quick. The Washington Justice are having another watch party for their run into the playoffs. They qualified. They went through the play-ins. They were able to make it to Hawaii. We know that team is incredibly excited to go to Hawaii. I don't blame them. It's Hawaii. It's a pretty awesome esport prize, so if you ask me. So they're excited to go to Hawaii. There's going to be a watch party next week. And I believe next Tuesday, Joey, we'll be doing a show live from that watch party in downtown Washington, D.C.
Absolutely. Still figuring out logistics on that, if it's going to be like a pre/post show, if it'll actually be Game On DC recorded there live. But yes, we will be at the watch party.
All right, so we'll cover more on the Justice next week when we can preview that matchup with the Fuel. But first, Joey, we're gonna hop on. We're gonna keep on this train, if you will, of champions for Wizards District Gaming. Joey, I am excited to announce. Well, it's not announced. I mean, everyone's known about it all day today. We have the head coach of the historic WizDG team that has gone back-to-back in the NBA 2K League. It is head coach Pat Crossan joining us here on Game On DC. Pat, first off, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're on vacation, a well-earned vacation, but nonetheless, thank you for taking time out of that vacation to join us here to we're gonna say it's a celebration. We're gonna play things up here a little bit, and we're just gonna absolutely trash all the other teams in the 2K League because we are the back-to-back champions, right?
That is true. We are back-to-back. We own 2 out of the 4 championships in the history of the 2K League so far. So
it's probably
50%.
It's probably safe to say that WizDG owns 50% of the NBA 2K League at this time. So I feel like WizDG and MSE should be getting 50% of the proceeds that come from the NBA 2K League, just because for the past 2 years it has all gone through the DMV.
Hey, you said it, not me. I can't say that. So.
Oh no, that's fine. I have no problem saying it.
Yes, you could say it for me. Appreciate you guys having me on, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So I kind of want to recap this entire amazing season here for you real quick. Let's go all the way back. You're coming out of the draft. You had, you brought back 5 out of the 6 players from last year's championship. The new addition was LeBron, XO LeBron. Alex, great guy. He came in, essentially replacing Reese God, who got picked up by the Lakers in the draft. And it was this WizDG team was a team that the entire league said, if there's going to be a team that can go back to back, is going to be this WizDG team. You're returning 5 of the 6 starters from 5 of the 6 players from last year's championship run. Exo LeBron, a very talented player as well, just adding into that team chemistry. What were your thoughts going into this season after only having to replace one player? Was the end? I mean, obviously the end goal was to win a championship, but did you feel like that your roster was set up for that end goal?
Yeah, I feel like, bringing back going into the draft, we had 4 out of our 6 guys. So we felt very confident, bringing back that core group going into, this season, that we would be able to essentially get back to the playoffs and hopefully have another shot at the championship. And then, we didn't know that Reese was going to go to the Lakers at that high. We thought there might have been a chance he fell to us, might not. We were kind of planning for both. And, the Lakers took him there. So we decided to pivot back to our next option. Obviously LeBron fell to us, who's a great power forward. He's played a lot of leagues and tournaments, in the off season before he came into the league. And frankly, he plays on one of the best Pro-Am teams, in the game in 2K in the off season. So, him coming on, bringing that championship experience was very vital. And he's an older guy. So, we're not looking for a young guy to come in and, need to learn the ropes. Like, there's no issues with him there. Like, he knows how to be professional. He knows how to get things done. And then we also got to bring Brandon back, Be Rich, who was our 6th man last year. And then obviously, mid-season, he ended up starting and kind of, took that shooting guard spot. So, going into that draft, it was getting 2 professional guys who take this seriously. And that's what we needed. And we got it. And frankly, it worked out for us.
So between the retention and the draft, you guys come in as, we can argue, heavily favorites in the NBA 2K League, talking to the other coaches, teams, and players. What kind of pressure does that put on your back as the coach, Pat?
Yeah, it was definitely a different expectation. I would say last year, we were kind of looked at as the underdogs. You had the Raptors going 16-0 in the regular season. I think we were 4th or 5th seed going into playoffs, so we weren't looked at as like a typical favorite to win the championship. And we lost one game in the playoffs last year, so we kind of ran the table with it. So this year, having that target on your back, we kind of just talked about a little bit before the season. You just kind of focused on the work and not necessarily the end goal until you get there. And we really just have professionals, as players. I mean, you look at Ryan, you look at Deanie, we're 2 veteran guys. I mean, it really starts with them to go to the younger guys and say, hey, this is how we're going to do things. We got to be professionals. We got to show up every game. It doesn't matter if we're playing the worst team in the league or the best team. Like, everyone's going to want to beat us. And, you see our record, best overall regular season record, and then going to the championship and not losing a game. I think they really just got it. I mean, the credit goes all to them. They were locked in the whole year.
Absolutely. And you mentioned back towards the beginning of the season, I believe it was week 3, you had to make that decision essentially to put B Rich in at the shooting guard position, bring in LeBron out. Obviously, from a player perspective, that's got to be tough. You're in the starting 5. Obviously things may not have been going in the direction that, the team wanted to go in. So something had to be shaken up there a little bit. And obviously these guys are professionals. How do you as a coach go about having that tough conversation? Say, hey, look, we still see you as a important part of this team, but as of right now, we need to make a change because we need to be winning.
Yeah, no, that was a very, very tough decision. We dropped the first Warriors game, and it just didn't feel right. Like, I felt like we needed to make a change. Just with the lineup, maybe Deanie didn't feel as comfortable at shooting guard, and obviously he's a great power forward. That's what we won with him playing last year. So just deciding, hey, Brandon, you're going to come in here, kind of just throw him in the fire. I mean, we hadn't practiced all year with Deanie at power forward. I mean, obviously he played it last year, but still you got to get some reps in. Brandon played a little bit of shooting guard in practice. And then after that moment, it was like something just clicked and the guys, felt more comfortable or obviously they had to step up in certain situations. And then, obviously with Bron, he took it the best way he could take it. I've never seen someone, obviously he was upset because you want to be a competitor, you want to play, you want to win. But at the end of the day, he was just like, whatever's best for the team, like I'm there to do it. He can start for a lot of teams in our league, and we're very lucky that we had him because all year, he's kind of the vibe guy. He's the chill guy. He was helping guys, during half times or, timeouts or whatever. Like he's going to give his advice and, the players get to listen to it. So really it just worked out. You take a professional guy and he's going to act like a professional in those situations.
Yeah. So just real quick on that idea of using the 6th man, this is the 2nd year in a row where I'm not saying you didn't do this in season 1 or season 2, but this is really the second year in a row where the sixth man played a very important part in the overall team chemistry and how like the team really came together for back-to-back championship runs. Talk to me a little bit about your theory or your idea that using that sixth spot is something that should be looked at for an advantage, something that like if something does go wrong, we can make this change and this person is fully capable of playing in this league, versus some other teams kind of using that sixth man spot. And I'm not trying to call any team out here or anything, but kind of using that spot maybe to get a friend into the league, or, you know, maybe get someone who may not be as deserving, not saying they're not, but just in that same direction. Obviously it worked out well for WizDG in 2 years in a row. So talk to me a little bit about your ideology here about using that sixth man on the roster to your advantage.
Yeah, no, that sixth player spot, it's pretty unique. A lot of people have different feelings about it. You know, maybe it's a player who's, you know, does really good content, and you know that could be your content person for the year, and especially if they're not playing. From my perspective, you know, being at WizDG, like we want to compete, we want to win championships, want to get the playoffs, all that fun stuff, win tournaments. So, you know, that sixth player spot has to be able to help. You know, they have to be able to step in at any moment's notice, kind of like Brandon did. I mean, it was literally we threw him to the fire, and you know, here you go. It's your spot to lose at that point. So I think mine changed a little bit throughout the first couple of years. I was a little unsure how the six man would work. But obviously you know, what I've seen the past 2 years, even last year, season 3, you know, in the beginning of the season, we really had a couple of spots up for grabs, and it was literally Justin, Deanie, and Brandon, B-Rich. They were fighting for like that last spot in our lineup, and they were pushing each other in practice. You know, someone would have a good day, and the next guy would have, you know, be struggling, and they would go vice versa. So I've seen it as like that moment that can help you and push a team further. You know, if you get the right guy or girl, and obviously they have to be able to be okay in the six man spot too if they're not playing. But it makes it easier when you're winning because, you know, you're getting the same paycheck as everyone else essentially.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to like partly humility as well, being able to take that step back, but also support your teammates. Another part of that is just flexibility, Pat, and you've had this through pretty much all of your rosters, the ability for players to flex to different positions. How does that help the team as a whole kind of come together, not only from that sportsmanship mentality of being humble, but also that ability to fill in as they need be with different roles?
Yeah, no, it's definitely good because the game changes every year. So sometimes, you know, it might be more offensive game, might be more defensive game. You know, certain guys might have strengths that might change positions. Obviously, you want to have a lineup and you want to kind of lock into it, and feel comfortable with it. But definitely in the beginning of the season, like you're experimenting with different lineups, different archetypes that players are using for their position. And, you know, that's the most important part is you want to kind of have that versatility. And the six man spot is very important for that too, because, you know, that guy or girl might have to play a couple different positions for you. So it's very good to have that, especially if someone's struggling or whatever. You know, I'm a big guy on versatility. I think all of our guys can play probably minimum 2-3 positions, you know, so we could change our lineup up essentially. And you know, that's just a strong suit for us, I think.
Okay, so we're gonna fast forward here a little bit in the season now. So you had the big change in week 3, bringing B-Rich into the 2 spot, Deanie flexing down to the 4, and then you went on a 9-game win streak after that change happened. A very impressive win streak that took you all the way up to the turn, which, you know, we're all traditional esport fans. Also, the idea of bans in esports is something that really gets me excited because that really does change the way the game's played. And, you know, big shout out to the 2K League for coming up with this idea of banning archetypes in the turn tournament, and it just makes the game that much more unique, and we get to see the players kind of have to take on different roles in that starting lineup. The turn obviously didn't go in the direction that, you know, WizDG was hoping for. You know, you didn't win, to put it, you know, plainly, I guess. But, you know, that ultimately wasn't the end goal. What was the team's mentality coming out of that turn tournament, going into the final push of the regular season, prepping for the playoffs?
Yeah, no, I think we were, I wouldn't say down. It was just, you know, it was disappointing. We want to win a tournament, in season tournament. We've never won one here at WizDG. Not that I'm complaining, of course, you know, 2 championships. I'll always take a championship over a tournament, and it doesn't matter, you know, when that tournament is. But, you know, coming out of that that turn tournament. It's very unique because it's the archetype system. You know, you can ban and protect certain archetypes. You know, and I think it's tough because you know you might ban something that you really didn't think the other team was good at or they were bad at, and you know they'll surprise you a little bit. So we just kind of use that as motivation. You know, we could lose to any team at any moment if we don't come locked in. And you know, we lost to the Blazers. They made it to the finals, and they had a good run in that tournament. So you know, we just keep pushing on. Last quarter of the season, and honestly, like we just had to lock in. That's all it is. You just got to come prepared every day, and can't speak well enough to the players for coming to practice. We only had one player late to practice all season, and it was like a minute late. I've never had that before. That's how professional these guys were.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, you know, you prefer 2 rings to look. I'm gonna go ahead and call the NBA 2K League out here. I gave him a compliment. I gotta diss him too.
Yeah.
The banner chains they look ridiculous. Like, obviously, if you get all 3, it's kind of cool, but like just getting 1, it kind of looks a little weird. And let's be real here. If you get all 3, right? So you win the preseason tournament, you win the turn, and then you have to win the play-ins to the postseason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you have to be mediocre essentially in the standings in order to do all 3. And to me, it just doesn't make sense that a team that's mediocre would be able to do all 3. I'm just saying, you know. So I'd take 2 rings also.
Yeah, no, I never want to play in the ticket. I mean, it's a great tournament. Like, I love the concept and all that, but I personally don't ever want us playing in the ticket because it's definitely stressful, as heck. Because that's your last shot at getting the playoffs, and if you don't win the tournament, guess what? You're going to play golf in a week. So, it is a cool concept though with the banner chains. And before, every team played in the ticket, but now it's just all the non-playoff teams play. So maybe they have to do a little bit of reworking on the chain, so to say.
Definitely some adjustments could be coming there. Now, before we move on and head to the final playoffs here, the other thing with the turn pad, just to touch on the bans a bit more, and I don't know how much you can say in this part, but what were your thoughts on the ban, and do you feel like the bans impacted WizDG's performance in that tournament the most?
Yeah, we tried a new center for the Blazers series. We played on the smaller 6'9" center. And I think maybe we just didn't practice enough with it. Really, Ryan's really good at the 7'1" and the 7 foot, and I think we just talked about it, and we wanted to try the 6'9" out for that series because we didn't think they'd be expecting it. So maybe we just game planned ourselves too much. So it wasn't anything like crazy, that we thought of, but I think it's also a good spirit that I like to tell the guys. Those tournaments are very good for us to practice, getting into that playoff mentality because, that's the only chance that you can get where you can say, hey, we lose, we're out, we're done. You don't get that kind of feeling in regular season. You're just trying to, get the playoffs at that point. But those tournaments are like, you lock in there and you kind of get that playoff atmosphere, that playoff mindset ready. And then, hopefully it'll translate once playoff come around.
Absolutely. And if you're going to make mistakes, changing things up, those are definitely the tournaments to do it in as opposed to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it could be the last game of the season where you put Dayfry at point guard also, which was one of the most entertaining games I've ever had the honor to watch. It was just poor JBM. He is not a big man at all. Like in real life, he's like what, 6'5"? It feels like
he's like 6'2", 6'3", probably.
Yeah, like the dude's tall, but like in 2K, I don't know. So okay, so now you've already made history, right? You are the first team to have ever won a championship and make it back to the playoffs the very next year. You've had a target on your back all season long. The players have rose to the challenge. You've made the tough calls, and now here's your moment. And oh yeah, we're gonna throw a wrench in this too. We're gonna fly you to Dallas. It's gonna be live, back on stage, where we get to see the big dog himself, Dayfry, back in action, which had me just all giddy to watch the finals because there is nothing like Dayfry dunking on someone and then just chirping across the stage. It's just absolutely demoralizing the other team. What was it like in that moment to get back on the stage, back to where where 2K really started to make a name for itself in that unique setup with that trash talking happening real time?
Yeah, it was a long time coming, especially going through the COVID season, playing online, I mean, it felt like we haven't played in person in forever, really. And to get back to that experience, was a little wasn't like nervous or anything about how some of the guys would react, but we had essentially three rookies in season three come, so they never played on stage before like that. Luckily we have Dini and Day Fry who are they're vets at that point. They've played in person, and nothing's gonna phase those guys. And to do it in the city that essentially Ryan's from, it was a great accomplishment. I'm happy that we could achieve that for him. Happy that he could do it at the Mavs gaming facility for where he used to play at.
It was great.
In season one, it just I couldn't be more proud of him, and how he's come to us these past couple of years, and really grown as a leader, as a person, as a player. He was just locked in as ever for the playoffs, and I wish that we had like a counter, because I think every day, within like every 5 minutes, we would say business trip. It's a business trip. Just keep reminding each other, and whenever someone would kind of like, get a little too excited, just, hey, this is a business trip. We understand that we're seeing a lot of our friends, and, that we haven't seen in a while in the league, other players, other coaches, other staff. But at the end of the day, once the game starts, it's a business trip, nothing personal. We're here to take it all. We're here to win. So, the guys were locked in, like I've said a million times on this podcast, and I couldn't be more proud of them for doing that for us.
Okay, Pat, with that, let's jump into playoffs then. So I don't know if you remember the first round matchups, but you guys ended up drawing the Knicks in that first round. Between the original opponents, though, so you had the Nets, you had the 76ers, you had the Grizz Gaming, as well as the Knicks. Who did you expect to draw in that matchup?
It's tough. So we could have played, what was it, the Knicks? They were the 6th seed. So it was NFL style playoffs. So we're the number 1 seed. We always play the lowest seed who advances. So it was Knicks, Sixers, or I think Nets were the three that we could have
Sixers,
played.
Nets, and then Grizz was the other one.
Yeah, and the Knicks won, and they're a scrappy team. So we were like, okay, got a game plan for them. They did beat us in the regular season. We split 1-1. They have a really good defense, so we have to watch out for them. And obviously they got 2 good guards at Duck and Malik, and also their coach is my friend, so I did not want to lose that series, personally. But coming into that game, I thought we played very well. And then obviously the Nets series, I don't know what happened. We just were super locked, and I don't know, guys were feeling good that day, because it felt like we absolutely just ran them out of the gym, essentially. And we were a little nervous because they do play at a high speed, and we kind of play at a slower speed. So it was kind of like who can put their will to the game and play their game instead of the other guys. But it's funny because we beat the 2 New York teams, so I guess we kind of run New York now. I don't want to say too much, but no. But those teams are super tough as competitors, and if you don't take them seriously, they're going to take wins off of you. So I was proud of the guys, especially to go undefeated in playoffs and in the championship. I mean, that's absolutely insane to think about. And I think we're 13-1 in the past 2 years in the playoffs. We dropped 1 game. It was last year against the Warriors in the championship, game 1. So I mean, really, this is just like historic. I still can't. It still hasn't hit me that we've done this in the past 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Pat, I want to let you know I'm going to be making a T-shirt that says DC runs New York City, straight up. We're going to put dash Pat Cross, and it's going to happen. It's going to be a T-shirt. I'm going to wear it. It's going to be great.
Quote it by me. I'll sign it for you.
Oh, my hero! Absolutely.
It was ironic how we did play the 2 New York teams, but those guys, those are tough teams, and the Knicks had to get in there they won the ticket. And obviously the Nets had a great season. Chalk is in the running for MVP, just like our guy Ryan. So if you haven't voted for MVP yet, please vote Dave Fry for us, okay? For all the people watching, you can go to the 2K League's website, vote Dave Fry. Let's get him an MVP this year. The things that he does at center, I've never seen done before. So appreciate it if you guys could help that.
Yes, absolutely. You can go on 2kleague.com. We'll actually find that link. We'll put it in the chat here live on Twitch. We'll put in the show notes for our podcast listeners as well, with that voting being open right now. Yeah, Dave Fry, look, a lot of people will look at stats and say, okay, yeah, he was a good center. But what stats don't tell is the leadership on that court, the leadership in the room with that team, and how clutch he was in the second half of a lot of these games. When you look at the overall record of WizDG, you're like, okay, this is the best regular season record. We've dropped one game in the postseason in the last 2 years. This team is just an overall juggernaut. Like other teams can't compete, and that's not always true. Like there were a lot of close games going into the fourth quarter that Ryan made some clutch rebounds, some clutch offensive boards to give second chance life to the team. And then cleaned up the glass on defense to deny those second chance opportunities and just really started those breakout passes for those fast points to really put teams away. And I 100% agree with you. Like he did so much that if you don't watch the games might fly under the radar a little bit if you just look at the stats. But if you actually watch the games, 100% agree with you. It's Ryan all day, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like you said, if you watch the games, you'll see the impact that he has, and it's not always going to be seen in the stat sheet sometimes. Because he'll swing on defense. He'll box out his guy so Dini can come get the rebound. That's as unselfish as you can get. The biggest stat for him is the one win that you can get in that series or that game essentially. So, win's the most important thing to him. Especially at this time in his life. That's all he wants to do and get another championship. So, the impact that he has, like you just can't teach it sometimes, and you can't always see it in the stats. But when you watch the game, you're just like, how does this guy do the things that he does? I mean, he's the best, one of the best 2K players ever. If there's a Hall of Fame, maybe one day he's got my vote. So.
We'll have to.
And John, I mean, you started to touch on it as well, like beyond the stats. But the other thing, and Pat, you can probably touch on this a bit more, is his impact as a leader in that team environment as well. Mm-hmm. Coming out there, showing up early to practice, the ability to follow through. And as you've seen a number of young players come through the organization, Ryan's been able to kind of step up as a leader and a veteran presence for them as well.
Yeah. No, he makes my life a lot easier sometimes. And then sometimes, I got to get on him a little bit, but, yeah, no, he's, every day at practice, he's locked in, he's talking, he's, communicating, and that's hard to do. Like, it's, some people think it's easy. You're just playing video games. But we played over 500 plus scrimmage games in 6 months. That doesn't include regular season or tournaments. We probably played 1,000 games total. I mean, That's insane to think about. I was trying to wrap my head around that because I was talking to another coach in the playoffs, and I was like, we played 500 scrimmages probably, and it's true, and he's there locked in at every scrimmage, which that's probably the most important thing that you need, especially from your leader, your locker room presence as one of the players. If he's doing that, then everyone else is going to want to do that. So it kind of goes to the rest of the guys.
So I want to go back to something you mentioned here. Back to the live stage for the playoffs and the finals. You had 3 rookies essentially who've never played on a live stage before like that. Mm-hmm. What was your takeaway from how JBM, Just Awkward, and B Rich responded to that increased pressure of being on stage?
Yeah, I think once the game got started, Jack was, he was just ready to go. Like, before the game, he was just, I'm ready, just kind of getting locked in and kind of pacing around a little bit. And then once the game was going, it's his world. He's our offense. It flows through him. Like 2K is mainly ran through the point guard. So he's kind of our captain in that regards in that situation. So, he's getting everyone involved. He's getting himself involved. He was good to go. Brandon, he didn't talk too much to the other team. Brandon's a chill guy. He just wants to do his thing, and he wants to do it well. So he's kind of like the vibe guy. He had a crazy, first game. I think he had 21 and against the Jazz, stepping up big time. He's always hitting clutch shots, especially late shot clock. He's always finding a way to get open. And sometimes he's making plays. I think he had 10 steals before the championship, which was insane. He had more steals than some other tandems, other point guard and shooting guard tandems had in the playoffs. So he was making defensive plays for us. And then Justin was crazy. He brought a whole bunch of energy. He's one of the biggest energy guys on our team. And, he, it's funny, the game admin had to tell me multiple times to tell him to stop stomping on the stage because they were afraid he was going to break it.
That's awesome.
He was jumping and he was getting animated and he was stomping on the stage. And I love that stuff. But, I was a little nervous that he was going to fall through there and we were going to have to take him to the hospital. So we had to calm him down a little bit. But, also just like Ryan, MVP. I think Justin's one of those guys you can easily vote for Defensive Player of the Year. Would love to see him win it. So also please give Just Awkward a vote for DPOY.
I mean, in all honesty, like 2K League, Like, can we get stable like stages so we can stomp on them? Like, give me a break. Like, what are we making these out of? Like Bosselwood? Like, come on. Like, give me a stage that can support some stomping, man. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever the WWE does, or wrestling or whatever, get those stages,
Ooh.
because those guys, I've seen them fall from ladders and stuff, and they're fine. So we need whatever they use.
Can you imagine a WWE style ring that 2K's played in? I
Yeah.
think that would be awesome. Like, and like the finishing move is like Dayfry running into the ropes and like laying a spear into chalk or something, and then like JBM comes over and lays the people's elbow down. Yeah, I'm going back to like the early 2000s moves because that's all I know. But yeah, I'm envisioning this right now, and I'm absolutely loving this idea.
No, all the productions people, I think they realize, hey, maybe next year when we go back in person, we're gonna have to change the stage setup a little bit, just for Justin.
Right. Then with that, let's touch on the finals here a little bit. Going up against the Jazz team that made a mid-season move themselves, a mid-season trade, bringing Lottie back into the lineup. Obviously, team chemistry, a lot of people expected to click right away, and the Jazz made a push late in the regular season. They made the playoffs, and they're looking really good. They had a tough Western Conference final matchup. They were able to pull through that. Then they come up and they face you guys, the defending champs. It kind of feels like going into that matchup, all the pressure's on WizDG to repeat. Like, there's so much expectation on your guys' shoulders, and there was nothing on the Jazz. And then all of a sudden, like you mentioned it, it's like you flipped a switch or something. But like, game one was close. But then in game two, and then especially in game three, it was just an absolute dominant performance. At what point did the realization hit you that, oh my gosh, this is going to happen?
Into game three, literally as the clock expired, and I think it still didn't hit at that point, because it's such a weird feeling. Like you build up for this moment, and then it's over, at the snap of the fingers, and you're just like, okay, what do we do next? What's the next goal? And it's just like, hey, you won. Go drink the Bud Lights in the Bud Light rooms. So it was just a crazy experience, and the Jazz, they really came out and hooped. Especially, I think every game really they were up like 5-0 on us. They got the early leads, and our guys were just resilient the whole time. And, we try to talk about staying in the present, just win the possession. That's all you got to worry about. Don't worry about the next game. Don't worry about the next quarter or anything like that. Just worry about the possession. Break it down very, very easily for you, because that makes, coming back from leads a little bit easier, and it helps maintaining leads. But for us, I always think that we get better as the game goes on. And it's just one of those things, like our defense is a big factor in that. Ryan, Justin, Deanie, those are probably three biggest. I mean, Jack too, and Brandon. I mean, really everyone is, but we play team defense. We don't play like selfish defense where just one guy has to guard everybody. It's everyone's expected to make rotations, to move for each other, and they got to make plays. So we knew the Jazz were probably one of the better offensive teams in the league, if not the best, especially with Splash. Run their point guard, and we had to stop him. We had to slow him down. You're probably not going to stop him, but you can slow him down a little bit and hopefully make some of their other guards make plays and be playmakers. And, it kind of played into our hands, and we 3-0'd them, and we were feeling pretty good at that point.
And you spoke a bit on the we saw a lot of that in game one and game two, but also that keeping the foot on the pedal in a sense in game three. You guys had a tight first quarter, then you took the lead. You allow it to get to your heads, or rather the players didn't. They kind of stayed in the game, and they ended up winning this one by almost 20 points.
Yeah, it's just you got to keep reminding them, whether it's myself, the players, LeBron, like we ever see one of the guys gets a little bit too excited, or they're kind of thinking about other things instead of the game or instead of the possession. It's, hey, let's bring them back in, settle down, and just keep playing from there. And we did that probably the best any team's ever done in the 2K League. And it just goes to show you that these guys, they live in the present, they worry about the possession, they win it, and it led to 2 championships. So good things happen, I guess, when you live in the present.
Absolutely. And speaking of living in the present, we're not going to keep you too much longer because we do know you're on vacation. Are there any other exciting plans you have for this postseason, being now a back-to-back champion?
Well, I get to take my paternity leave now, so my wife is very happy about that. She's going to be very excited. So Katie's very happy. My daughter's going to be very happy. Daniela, we're going to take some paternity leave, travel. We got the All-Star game coming up September 25th. I'm going to be coaching it. Then we got Ryan, Dave Fry, Justin, Just Awkward, and Jack, JBM. They all made the All-Star game, so we got 3 guys representing. I think it's in Brooklyn on the 25th of September. So it'll be pretty fun. I think they're going to have fans there. Really excited. Just it's going to be a fun time where we roll the ball and the guys just kind of points over. And then we got one more. We got Deanie's wedding coming up too. Deanie is getting married.
Oh, nice.
So we got to give some congrats to him. He's getting married in about a month in Illinois. So very excited to get out there, see where he's from and meet the family.
So you could say he's getting his 3rd ring later on also. I mean, that's pretty impressive. 3 rings in 2 years. I like that.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we got to tell about it, right?
Absolutely. And just real quick, you mentioned it, Katie and your daughter Daniela. How are they doing? Because I know that would happen right in the middle of the season. Shout out to Andrew stepping in, Coach of the Year nomination, perfect 4-0 while you were out. He had the perfect week. But yeah, how's Katie and Daniela doing?
Oh no, they're doing great. They're doing a lot better. Because if I had to be in Dallas for 2 weeks, they Katie was like, you have to win the championship. You can't go there for 2 weeks and not come home with anything else. So, it was tough being in Dallas for 2 weeks, especially away from them. Wasn't able to help. But luckily we have a lot of family and friends who were able to help out and take care of them both. So, and now it's just about enjoying it and growing up. And maybe one day she'll be in the 2K league or be an astronaut or something. I don't know. She can do whatever she wants.
Oh, astronaut. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I always say. Go to the moon, go to Mars.
Absolutely. So before we let you go, obviously the new 2K game came out, 2K22. You had the chance to play it a little bit on the WizDG stream. I got a chance to play it a little bit. I can safely say I will not be competing in the Combine for the 2K League. Nowhere close to being halfway decent, let alone a quarter decent at that game, but I'll still try. What are your initial takeaways from the new style of gameplay, and do you see any challenges to the upcoming league with the new game?
Yeah, no, it's a lot different. It's kind of like one of the older 2Ks, just the dribbling and a lot of the faster movement. Still learning it myself. I mean, I really played it for one day, then I had to go on vacation, went to a bachelor party. Now I'm back home with the family. So I'll probably get back at it towards the end of the week. But I've been watching streams and such, and it's very unique. I actually think the gameplay is pretty good. I know a lot of the pros are saying it's they're liking it so far. So just excited. Definitely need a break, especially after playoffs. So definitely some time off, relax, and then we'll get back into the fold and get back to next season. We'll have to do this all over again.
Absolutely. Pat, I don't want to keep you any longer. It's been absolutely great having you on the show, as always. Again, massive congratulations on the historic run. First ever Eastern Conference champions. First time a champion team has made it back to the playoffs. The first back-to-back team. You're coaching the All-Star game. In my opinion, there's no other coach in this league that deserves Coach of the Year more than you do. And I'm not just saying that because I know you or anything.
Just buttering me up.
No, like being completely honest, just, knowing the work and passion you have for this team and for this game and this league, it's a no-brainer in my mind. So I couldn't be more happier for you. I couldn't be more happier for Monumental Sports and Entertainment, Zach and Ted Leonsis, who believe in esports and really, allowed esports to start to really thrive here with professional leagues, the 2K League and Caps Gaming, everything that's going on over there as well. So a big congratulations to you and the rest of the WizDG crew. Obviously, a big congratulations to Katie and Danielle as well. I know the #1 fan for WizDG there. Very, very big congratulations. And you're always welcome on the show. We'll have you back on some point during the off season. I know you got some things to think about, like players to retain, the upcoming draft. We're not going to talk about that right now. Go enjoy your vacation, sir. It's a pleasure, as always, having you on the show.
I will. John, Joey, appreciate you guys having me on. Like you said, retainment, players protected, expansion teams. I don't even want to think about that stuff. It's paternity leave time.
Absolutely.
I'm not answering emails. I'm not answering texts. Only if you guys text me, of course. But no one else. Don't talk to me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear from you. I just want to enjoy my life. And we'll get ready for next season in a little bit. All right.
All right. Sounds good, Pat. We'll see you at the
Enjoy
All-Star
your time
game.
off, Pat. Thanks
all right.
again.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And with that, I thought it'd be a smoother transition than that. I will have to go ahead and fix the cameras here real quick.
What does Pat call this? Our Nick Merckx camera?
Yeah, pretty much. But it's super simple because I was like, okay, I figured out the way to fix it going forward. So head coach Pat Crossan of the back-to-back NBA 2K League champions, Wizards District Gaming, joining us here on Game On DC. Joey, just a quick wrap here before we end the show here. One of the nicest guys in the DMV area. Granted, he is a Philadelphia Phillies fan. I won't hold that against him. But honestly, one of the most genuine guys out there. So excited that he's been able to lead this team for 4 years. Looking forward to season 5 with Pat in charge here and what this team could possibly do. Fingers crossed, three-peat anybody. But yeah, I mean, it's always so great hearing from Pat here on Game On DC.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great guest to have on. Everyone from that organization who's been on has been phenomenal, and we expect to have many more in the future of Game On DC.
Absolutely. So, again, a little light on the Washington Justice this week. It's only because we're coming off of a championship for WizDG. Next week, it's going to be all Washington Justice as WizDG enter the offseason. And we will be previewing their matchup against the Fuel in the first round of the postseason. And then on Tuesday next week, again, a special show live from downtown Washington, D.C. at the Justice headquarters. So definitely keep Monday and Tuesday marked on your calendars. And make sure you follow on the social media so you know when that Tuesday show is going to be on there. But until then, that will do it for this week's edition of Game On DC. If you enjoy listening to Game On DC, we want to hear from you. Leave us a review on your podcatcher of choice if they allow it. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, and pretty much anywhere else you can find podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe and follow the show on social media. To keep up with all the gaming and esports news here in the DMV, Joey, where can our listeners go to follow Game On DC?
Absolutely, guys. Head to your social media platform of choice, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Find us at Game On DC. That is Game On DC. We also check the hashtag GoDC on those as well. Last but not least, hit us up with a follow, maybe even a Twitch Prime sub over here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/OTN Media.
All right, it is a twofer next week. It's going to be the normal show on Monday the 20th. It's going to be a special show on the 21st next week, so we will see you then as we continue to cover the esports news here in the DMV. Make sure you do your ears and eyes a favor. Make sure you hit that sub and follow button to know when the next episode of Game On DC is ready for your viewing pleasures. We will catch you all on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. And as always,
Game On DC.